So fast forward, we started Prime Corporate in 2012. I was 22 years old at the time, and I had this, I'm a hard worker, imposter syndrome. Why would anyone listen to me on how to save money and taxes? There was 4 of us when we started Prime Corporate, and currently today we have over 300 employees. We have over 80 accountants. We've got 10 attorneys. So my goal today is to help you understand as much of the legal and the financial in the next 20 minutes as possible. And then we'll also give you an opportunity to speak with us so that you can really go into the weeds on your situation on how to keep more money in your corner. Okay. Any of you that are multi-member entities or S corporations, your due date's in 2 days. So file an extension or make sure that those taxes are filed. April 15th. We'll walk through some deadlines and make sure that you're taken care of. But if you have questions throughout, feel free to throw them in the chat, and I'll try and answer as many as possible as well. Some pest sprayers do 400 homes a quarter. Yeah, it's great. It's and then the other one was home services. I did a lot of phone and internet, and I can talk more about that as well. Our goal, Prime Corporate, plan, profit, protect your business. Okay, not only do we know that it's important for you to be able to keep more money in your corner, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. But a lot of you are probably already investors or plan on being investors. And whether it's long-term buy and holds, whatever that looks like, when I talk to a group of real estate professionals, my life doesn't get much easier. My wife didn't really even want her real estate license, but I was like, please, we need some tax benefits. So everything goes under my wife as a real estate professional. And what I try and share here is no one cares about your money more than you do. And I say that because the more that you can compound tax deductions, those of you that have little ones, I've got 2 little girls. I've got a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old little girl. Both of them are going to make $14,000 this year. I get the write-off as a business owner. My girls didn't make enough money. They don't have to claim it from a tax standpoint. I want you to be able to do that for your kids as well. The Augusta rule, it allows you to write off your house from your business up to 14 days a year. These are things that seem like they're difficult to do, but they're things that you're going to do anyways. We just need to document them and give you an alibi. If you're like my mom, you don't want to document them. You're not going to document them. And I have some solutions for those of you that don't want to do that. But tax-wise, it'll save you $10,000 to $20,000 a year. And hopefully that perks your ears up enough for us to be able to help you with it. Let's talk a little bit about entities, tax deductions, how they work, asset protection and generational wealth, personal credit versus business credit. I joked with my mom, this is a very biased opinion on my side, but I was like, how nice would it be if every house that you sold, you always are putting together these baskets or carving things on these wood things, and those are great. They're amazing. I was like, how nice would it be if you got them like an estate plan, trust, will, make sure they're protecting the asset and making sure they're making you aware of assets when they're buying, when they're selling, and how you can stay attached to what you're doing in helping them with securing their properties. But before we jump in, 2 things on legal disclaimer. First of all, everyone's situation is different. Some of you are married, some of you have kids, some of you have multiple businesses. That naturally is going to impact your overall tax situation. And then second component, I'm not a CPA or an attorney, but I've got a full team of them, like I mentioned. I love giving these presentations because I've realized in the years that I've been doing this, if you go ask an attorney about what we're talking about today, you get a lot of, oh, well, it depends, that lead you to asset protection, right? You ask 10 attorneys the same question, you get 15 different answers, and attorneys lean towards asset protection. That's great. That's what they're there for. Accountants oftentimes lean towards the path of least resistance to file your tax return. And I share that with you because the truth is oftentimes somewhere in the middle based off of your risk tolerance. I want you to protect your assets, but I also want you to save money in taxes, right? I talk about asset protection all the time, and I tend to be more risky. I have 77 doors of real estate currently, and a lot of those are purchased in December to depreciate and cost seg, write off, and save money in taxes. I want all of you to be able to play that game throughout the course of the year so that you can help more people, help more clients, save money in taxes while compounding your wealth and continuing to help yourself build more wealth as well. All right, now when it comes to business structure, a lot of agents, I don't know the percentage, but I know that it's high after a lot of the agents that we've worked with over the years. A lot of them traditionally work under their name and their social security number. And that's not necessarily a problem. You're just leaving money on the table. And if the goal is to keep more money in your corner, there's ways that you can lower your tax liability right away by just getting paid through the correct business entity.
Get in there.
Okay. Oh,
we talked about this.
We got cats in washers or dryers. It looks like something's going on. I don't know. So a lot of times if you're first getting started, we'll recommend starting as an LLC, right? When you bring other people into the community, when you bring people into the team, an LLC is great because it's simple, it's easy, and it gives you the flexibility to be able to change the tax selection. So for any of you note takers, please write this down. Whenever you set up a business entity, here are the 3 things that I feel are most important to take into consideration. Number 1, privacy and protection. How much privacy do you want? As an agent, you don't want privacy. You want to get your name out there. You want your brand out there. But maybe as an investor, you want a little bit more privacy to show that you're not the owner of all these other properties. Totally up to you. How much protection do you need based off of your wealth, based off of the compound, based off of your assets? That answer will change. But whenever you set up a new business entity, I think it's very important for you to ask yourself that question. Number 2 is tax benefits. Okay, profit or loss, good or bad, how do you put yourself in the best position possible? Okay, once you close that first deal and all of them after that, it is oftentimes beneficial to change your LLC so that it is taxed as an S Corp. Okay, those of you that closed deals last year, made over $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, you've got 2 days to get the approval from the IRS. Call your accountants, see if an S Corp election will benefit you. If you do that today and you can get that approval for all of 2023, if you made $100,000 last year, that could save you a quick $7,000 just by asking the right questions and knowing more about your situation. Okay. So I would say, and then number 3, by the way, is credibility. Show yourself as a legitimate business, not only to your clientele, but to banks and lenders as well. One of the areas that we focus on is business credit and corporate funding. To give everyone the visual, you have your legal name. Actually, I'm going to come back to that on business credit, but really cool opportunity to build additional credit lines as opposed to always having to use personal funds, personal credit. When we talked to Brett about this, he's like, I wish I separated these things out earlier, because a lot of times that's how it goes. You get down the road a year, 2 years, 5 years, and you've just intermingled so much that it's like, oh, I hope I don't overpay in taxes. And I'm telling you right now, if you've been in this business for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, or if you're brand new, there's still opportunities that you can give yourself protection. You can maximize tax benefits. You can show yourself as a business. It's just a whole lot easier to do it right from the very beginning. When it comes to tax deductions, as I mentioned earlier, real estate professionals, it doesn't get much better from a tax standpoint. We know the traditional expenses that you can write off, like your phone, your internet, your power, portions of your rent or your mortgage. Matthew, I see you in the home office. You're writing off the square footage, right? You can still write off the landscaping, the pest control, everything exterior as well. Because if Jackie comes over to your house, you need it all to look really nice, so it's still presentable, it's still deductible. Ordinary, necessary, helpful, appropriate. What is helping you to generate income? And if you can tie a dollar spent back to your business to help you generate income, track it and have a professional tell you no. Okay, there's over 250 different deductible expenses for real estate professionals. And a lot of these are lifestyle type deductions. Your image is part of your business. Those of you that are running social media, I've got a lot of clients that are now paying their kids for social media management. That's giving them the deduction while helping their kids either understand financial literacy or helping them for the future. Okay. Brooke, is there a list of the 250 deductions? Yes, we do have that. And for all of our, Jackie, I'll get that over to you, and however you want to share that, great. But yes, we do have a list of those. Protect yourself. If I brought the attorney on here, they'd spend 45 minutes on these two slides. It's a sue happy world. I think that in order to sum this up, set your business up with the thought in mind of it's not if you get sued, but when you get sued. And I think that if you think like that, it's a little bit depressing, but you'd set things up differently if you were in the middle of a lawsuit right now than you would by waiting. I got my first lawsuit. I was 22 years old. I bought my first investment property in southern Utah by St. George. It was Sand Hollow. And I thought I was funny, thought I was cute. Like, who knows what's going on at that time? I named my LLC Lot Lizard 206. Embarrassing. I had to tell my mother about this. I had to hire an attorney. Long story short, let's give you a professional business name. Let's make sure that personal's personal, business is business, and you're separating the two, and then you're tracking and maximizing tax-wise. Okay, last thing, then I want to make sure that I leave some time for questions and taxes and everything else. But here is one of the most important visuals. Sometimes this stuff can feel over your head a little bit if it's like you don't like taxes. You want someone else to just do it. So for any of you that are thinking that way, this is for you. I put this slide together for my mother. Everything I've said before, my mom would have been like, yeah. How much is it going to cost? How do you just file my taxes for me? So here's the visual that I think is important for everyone to understand. You have a legal name, you have a social security number or an ITIN, and you have a personal FICO credit score that ranges from 300 to 850. Do the same thing for the business. Give yourself a legitimate business name. Give yourself an EIN or an employer identification number. I highly recommend a separate business bank account if you haven't already. And then have and build what's called a paydex score. This is not a requirement, by the way. It's more of a benefit. But a paydex score is a credit profile for your business. It ranges from 1 to 100. 80 to 85 would be like you having a 750 to an 800 credit score. Okay. Never met an entrepreneur that tells me, Tommy, I wish I had less money. Not interested. And I share that with you because the more funding options that you can create for yourself, the better. Right? So on business credit, if you can build up this paydex profile, where do we find paydex? Dun & Bradstreet, getting a DUNS number is one of the first steps. Dun & Bradstreet has really monopolized business credit. Experian and Equifax have started to get involved, which is great for all of us. More competition means that it's easier to build business credit and will open up more credit lines, which is amazing. But an example with these things is if you can use business credit and invest back into yourself and into your business with your marketing, with your spend, with your social media, with your signs, with whatever it is that you need. Use business credit, let the business pay for itself, and then pay yourself from there. You're separating your financial liability. You're keeping yourself very organized from a tax standpoint, but you're also opening the doors for additional funding opportunities. Okay, all my vehicles are bought under business credit with lower rates. They're all tax deductible. Okay, a couple months ago, so that's when we buy real estate, we depreciate it and run a cost segregation study to accelerate the depreciation through my wife because she's a real estate professional and I'm not. I don't qualify for it. So a lot of times we're able to save the money because of the entities and these things in place. When interest rates were really high in the middle of last year, I bought 7.5 acres and 2 mobile homes at 4% on a business line of credit instead of 8% on what would have been an investment loan at the time. Now, it takes time to build business credit, but I can tell you that all of you can do it. And if you start it now, if it benefits you in a year, 5 years, 10 years, great. But when you don't need money, everyone and their mother's throwing credit card applications at your door. When you need money, it seems to be a little bit more difficult to come across. So I tell people the sooner that you can build and develop your personal credit and your business credit, all you're doing is giving yourself more funding opportunities. Okay. This one's a little bit complex. I'll probably just cruise through it, but everyone should have an estate plan. If you don't have one right now, put it on your to-do list for maybe before the end of the year, right? Trust, will, living will, power of attorney. We work with a lot of real estate investors that only go after probate. Avoiding probate and having a trust is one of the most important things that you can do, especially if you have wealth, you have assets, and you own real estate. My uncle unexpectedly passed away about 2 months ago. And my cousin called me and he's like, if you didn't set Uncle Pete up with a trust, California would have stepped in and taken $200,000. That now gets to go to my cousins. So the money's great, but like the emotional damage that happens to families, my mom and my uncle were best friends. They didn't talk for 10 years when my grandpa passed away. Get the estate plan, have the uncomfortable conversation, ask your parents, ask your grandparents, ask your loved ones, do you have a trust? One of the most uncomfortable things that you can do is get into that conversation, but some people say it beats politics at Thanksgiving, so hopefully it gives you something to discuss. If you want more privacy, holding companies are great. I have a holding company based out of Wyoming. My holding company is an S Corp. If you have multiple businesses, that's common, Matthew. That's a really, really sophisticated question. Thank you for that. If you have multiple businesses, you can pay yourself into one and then pay yourself from there is where you would do that. But you don't have to do it. And to be clear, you don't need all of these things. We want you to crawl before you walk and walk before you run and truly understand what you have. If you are full-time agent broker, just having an LLC or a PLLC that's taxed as an S Corp is plenty. You don't need all of this. But we work with enough investors that I still throw this in there because a lot of times as an agent, as a broker, you turn into an investor. And if we can help you understand how to do that while protecting your assets, limiting your tax liability, and giving yourself the credibility, it should put you in a better spot. Right? If I came on here and said, I'm giving everyone that showed up $10,000, I'm the most popular person, easily. But I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. But if I come on here and I'm like, here's very easy strategies to save $10,000 in taxes. For whatever reason, it's not as exciting. And I say that because if you go generate more revenues, which is why all of you are here, obviously, but then you compound that by saving more money in taxes, the combination of the two is what ultimately creates long-term wealth. And if we can help you be a part of understanding how to save more money, it's very similar to making more money, which then gives you the opportunity to invest into yourself and to really, really, really compound that wealth. So hopefully this helps. I'm a little bit over here, but Jackie, Tom, any questions or anything that I missed that you want me to go over?
Yeah, so I have a quick question, and guys, you can throw your questions in the chat, or you can jump in here after me. If I have I brand myself as Jackie Sells Colorado, would you recommend that be my LLC name, or can it be something different?
Really good question. Usually no, because it really depends on the state, is why I'm kind of keeping this a little bit more open for you. But usually what I recommend to people is just do it as your name. So it'd be Jackie McKelvin, LLC or PLLC. I can't remember what Florida is off the top of my head, or Colorado, because you're going to get paid into your name. And then we can create a DBA, which stands for do business as, with your actual marketing name. So that way it doesn't limit you, but it doesn't give you any problems getting paid. The last thing I want to do is, if you have a check that's held up, you're not going to like me. So let's make sure that the checks don't get held up, but then you have the ability to run the DBAs or to make sure that you're not leaving money on the table that way.
Thank you. Thank you. What else, guys?
Great question.
I got a question. Can you hear me? All right. So Tommy, my wife and I launched our own YouTube channel. It's separate from real estate.
Awesome.
And we do have an S corp for our real estate and all that stuff.
Good.
But we do travel a lot, and we're planning on traveling a lot more. And that it is a travel lifestyle. It's called The Empty Nester Diaries. Hey, we love subscribers, by the way. Anyway, The Empty Nester Diaries. So how do we write off all this travel we're doing? Because we are shooting multiple, episodes and all this stuff. We're going to DC. We're going to Fiji this year. How do we take advantage of? We're not making any money yet. We're not monetized on YouTube, but that is the goal, and we are moving towards that.
You getting a camper van for all this, or are you going to fly everywhere?
No, we're flying, baby.
I love that. It's hard to take deductions when you aren't making money. However, I would recommend legitimizing it right away. So set up an LLC. Okay. You can very easily take $5,000 in startup, $5,000 in organizational. You can still itemize additional business related expenses, but camera equipment, travel, all these things are going to get expensive. So you're giving yourself an alibi by documenting. You can still show losses 2-3 out of the first 4 or 5 years. That isn't really a tax code. That's just when your probability of an audit starts to increase. So just be aware of that. Mm-hmm. But as long as you're tracking your expenses, it's very clear that you have the intention to build a following on YouTube and social media. Post religiously, maximize on your deductions. They will still flow through to write off against your other income. Make that first dollar somehow, some way, whether it's consulting, whether it's a brand deal. If you make that first dollar, you maximize those deductions, it then writes off against it. So without looking at the overall situation, it's hard, but it's totally doable to maximize on your taxes that way.
Okay, so if we did the LLC to legitimize it or what have you, should we put that under our existing S corp as a even the S corp?
I would recommend separating it. I would separate it with an LLC so that if it turns into a cost center on you for the first little bit, the S corp is because you're making active income and you're avoiding your self-employment tax. The LLC is going to separate your asset protection. It's going to allow you the ability to take more of the losses, but they'll still flow through. So you could do either or. It's not like I'm telling you one's right or wrong. You can get away with either or. It's just, why not separate the liability? Why not give yourself a true profit and loss for each business and then flow those through? But if you're saying that it's like, are we going to make money? I'd rather just write off the losses against the S corp because there's a lot of expense or a lot of income there. You could do that as well. I think the important thing is having a game plan with the accountant and breaking it down on a quarterly basis.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Just a couple questions. You guys might go another four or 5 minutes. Would a real estate agent prefer an S corp or an LLC, and why? Brent asked.
Great question, Brent. S corporation or an LLC taxed as an S corp, assuming you've done a deal, right? That's the The reason for that is being a real estate agent is active income. So when you have active income, you have self-employment tax, which is Medicare, Social Security. And having that S Corp election allows you to pay yourself a salary or a distribution and avoid half the self-employment tax. So you'll save more money by properly running an S Corp or an S Corp election than you would by just a standalone LLC. But we do LLCs taxed as S Corps all the time. And the reason for that is you can change the tax election once a year. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility. Does that answer your question? Good.
And then Don asked about Matt's question. What if he got a sponsor to demonstrate income for Matt's YouTube?
Don. Yes. Don's got. You're hired, Don. We need you in Salt Lake by Monday.
Yeah, I love it. And Penny asked, my CPA suggested we stay away from taking the home office mortgage type deductions because they are frequently flagged for getting audited. Besides fire this CPA, what are your thoughts and reactions?
Do you have a home office? If you don't have one, I would agree with that. If you have a home office and you're not deducting it, you're wasting a room in your house. I have a problem with that. So if it's legitimate, if you're utilizing it as an expense, it isn't that it's highly audited. It's that people lie, especially mileage is actually higher. People lie about the mileage more than they do the home office. And that's heavily audited. 9 out of 10 people that get audited lose because they don't have an alibi. They don't track their expenses. If it's legitimate, write it off.
Yeah, I love it. And then Kelly has a question, and we have a few. Stephanie and Amir have questions. In a home office, do you have to have a separate entrance?
No, but it should be strictly for the home office. It does help if it has a separate entrance. You can take some more depreciation, but it doesn't have to. No, my home office doesn't, and I've written it off forever. So that answer is no there. I can tell you that firsthand.
Okay, Stephanie, your question.
Yeah, do you set up the holding company and all of the LLCs as part of your services, or are you just making that as a recommendation?
Yeah, thank you for this. So Prime Corporate Services, I get carried away where it's like, here's how to save money in taxes. Please stop paying. We have 4 primary services. So we help on entity structure, LLCs, PLLCs, holdings, corporations. We set up everything that I just showed. So entity structures is number 1. I've got a really cool business credit development program that walks you through how to build business credit the right way. We're getting over $4 million a month right now in business credit and corporate funding for our clients. I've got a full team of accountants and CPAs. So we do bookkeeping, quarterly filings, annually, personal business filings. And then we also do estate planning, trust, wills, living wills, power of attorneys. I've got some other companies that do other small business type services, but the 4 primaries are really trying to help you have one umbrella, legal and financial. I can call Prime Corporate and I can get assistance, usually around tax related topics. Mm-hmm. So those are the 4 things that we do. I put a link in the chat. If anyone wants a free one-on-one consultation, you can click on that link and it'll schedule you to speak with one of our advisors as well.
Awesome.
Perfect. And so with that structure, do you recommend each property having an individual LLC, or do you recommend grouping them?
$1 million question. You ask 10 attorneys, you will get 20 different answers. And I've narrowed it down to 3 things for you. I've asked 100 attorneys and watched countless YouTubes and everything else. Number 1, how much equity do you have? I care more about 500,000 of equity than 5,000 in equity. Number 2, how many properties do you have, and make sure that you're properly insured? Number 3, what is your risk tolerance? My risk tolerance is much higher. I've got properties with 20, 30 doors in one LLC. I probably shouldn't. I have clients that want to do a different LLC for every property. It depends on your risk tolerance. It depends on your state. It depends on a lot of variables. If you're in California, you're $800 per entity a year. A lot of times they'll bunch a couple together. So there are a lot of variables, and I can tell you there's not one right answer there.
Awesome.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good question. Yeah,
Amir, one last question, and then we'll probably have to close it up.
Yeah, great presentation, by the way. I learned a lot of, a lot of. So you didn't mention about, you keep mentioning S corporation, but not C. So I have, for example, since 2005, I start setting up C corporations. Right now I have 4 C corporations. Easier to move money around because it's S corporations pass-through entity. So IRS knows who owns the S corporation. C corporation is different, different animal. And then in addition to this, setting up a 401k and defined benefit plan, which is a huge tax deductions on the corporation. But what's your opinion, C versus S?
Not opposed. I like C corporations from an asset protection standpoint. I like them from a lower corporate tax rate. What I dislike is it's very rare that people properly flow the money through there with salaries and distributions and set salaries. If you're doing that and have been doing that for years, good work. That is very uncommon for people to follow rules, and then they end up getting double taxed. They've got a 21 corporate rate, and then they end up paying a personal rate. So I want you to be doing what you are comfortable with. The pass-through function isn't the biggest deal because you can still lower the tax liability, but C Corps have great asset protection. And if you move your money the right way, having that 21% corporate rate, there's benefit to that as well. I'm assuming that you also, I'm just going to say this for everyone, Amir probably makes really good money. So the salary, most of the money's staying in the C corporation. And if that's the case, I'm about it. I think that it's great.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, so pretty much. Yeah, income is pretty high. So and then, but yeah, I keep paying 0 taxes last 5 years. So because I'm moving money to the defined benefit plan and 401k, qualified 401k, not a self-directed IRA.
Great work. Yeah, I love that. It's rare that we run into situations where people are willing to stay disciplined and do that and pay themselves a set amount. But when you have enough revenue to be able to offset that, it's an amazing strategy. You probably have them even set up out of Nevada, which is a whole nother conversation, or a state that gives you a lower rate. But I like it. I think it's great.
I have multiple LLCs, so some of them are in Nevada. So I don't like California $800 a year franchise tax board, but yeah, it's just a matter of money and playing game around the taxes. So
cool.
All right. And so, Tommy, you're going to send me the 250 tax deductible list. And then, Tom, will we just post that on Atomic Team Meeting Habits on the Facebook page, or how do we get that out to everybody?
We will just copy Megan.
Yeah, send it to me. I'll put my email in here, and I will make sure to post it for everyone in the group.
Awesome. Okay.
One quick question, Jackie. Sorry,
yes.
So Matthew asked about Paydex in chat. How can we get Paydex score?
Yeah, first, I would recommend everyone schedules a call. And if you want business credit, entity tax, you have that call's for you. So I would just say to you, like, let us know what you want to do. But to make a very long answer as short as possible, knowing that we're at the top of the time here, Dun & Bradstreet, or D&B, getting a DUNS number is one of the first steps to properly building business credit. We've got a really cool course that's built out that walks you through how to build business credit and those Paydex profiles.
Awesome. Well, you guys, we're just coming off of an incredible mastermind, and I know we want to share all that insight with you from last week, and maybe we can do that next time. And Tommy, thank you so much for your time. It's been so wonderful to lift our eyelids on the potential to keep more of our money. And I appreciate the conversation so much. Thank you everyone for joining us. It's been awesome to learn more and grow with you. And we're excited. So we'll see you next time, and we'll get that list emailed out to you. Thanks, Megan. Thanks so much, Tommy.
Of course. Thank you. Thanks for having me. This was fun. I appreciate you. Have a good one.
Have an awesome.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Thanks, Tommy. Okay, we'll see you all next Wednesday, same place, same time, because collaboration is the key to success. So let's continue to collaborate, work together, and have some fun. Thanks, y'all. Have a good day.